All right, let's jump right in. Today we're looking at serviced offices in Singapore, but not just any aspect of them.
Right.
We're going deep into their video conferencing setup,
Yeah.
using the research that you sent over.
Yeah.
So basically, you want to know how these spaces are adapting to the digital world and helping businesses connect.
Exactly. And what really jumps out at me from all these articles is the emphasis on video conferencing.
Oh, yeah?
Like, it's not just a nice little extra anymore. It's like the core,
Oh, wow.
the defining feature of serviced offices in Singapore. You got to have it to be competitive, it seems.
That makes total sense, though.
Right.
Singapore's such a global hub.
Yeah.
So being able to connect with anyone, anywhere instantly, it's got to be essential.
Absolutely. One of the articles actually quotes Jensen Lim from HeyRocket.
Okay.
And he says flexible work arrangements are totally reshaping the Singaporean workplace. Like, it's a whole new ballgame.
So it's not just about having video calls, it's about having really good ones.
Exactly. These serviced offices are pulling out all the stops to make sure the experience is like super high tech and totally reliable.
Okay, so what does that actually look like?
Well, we're talking crazy fast internet speeds.
Right.
Got to be able to handle those international calls without a hitch, right?
Of course.
And then you've got the audio-visual equipment, top of the line stuff.
Okay.
So everyone looks and sounds amazing no matter where they're dialing in from.
Okay, I'm picturing like those super sleek, modern offices you see in movies, but like amped up even more.
Yeah.
All about the connectivity.
Absolutely.
I bet companies are loving the cost savings alone.
Oh, huge. All the articles highlight how video conferencing is just slashing travel expenses.
Yeah.
Think about it. No more flying executives all over the place for every single meeting.
Right.
Huge win for companies' budgets, especially smaller ones.
And honestly, no one actually enjoys those crazy long flights.
No.
And think of all the time you save, no more jet lag, no wasted hours in transit.
More time to get actual work done.
It's all about maximizing efficiency.
Exactly. And the articles even suggest that video conferencing can actually lead to more focused and productive meetings, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
People tend to stick to the agenda more when they know everyone's time is precious.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I can see that. Like eliminating those travel distractions helps everyone focus on the task at hand.
Totally. Everyone is mentally present, even if they're not physically there.
Yeah.
And that translates to better communication, faster decision-making,
Wow.
makes the whole business more agile, more responsive.
Okay, so we've got cost savings, time efficiency, and better meetings.
Yep,
But do we have any real-world examples of this?
absolutely. One article profiles this tech startup, a globally distributed team.
Okay.
They were really struggling to stay connected before they moved into a serviced office with good video conferencing.
And now?
They're saying it's helped them collaborate way more effectively, and it's really helped them grow faster.
That's a pretty convincing case study. It's like the tools leveled the playing field for them. It
Exactly.
doesn't matter where they are physically.
Right. There are other examples, too, like Man Hummel.
Yeah.
They're using video conferencing for virtual workshops
Cool.
to bridge the gap between their teams in Asia and Europe.
It really is shrinking the world, bringing people together like that.
Totally. And another one is Mary Kay. They're leveraging it for their regional meetings.
Oh, yeah.
It's helping them cut down on travel time and really focus on strategic planning. It's really interesting how companies of all sizes are finding ways to use video conferencing.
Yeah.
It's becoming part of how they operate. It's not just a perk.
Okay, so it's not just a trend in Singapore. It's like a core part of doing business now.
Absolutely.
But what about the future?
Oh, we're just getting started. The articles hint at some really wild advancements on the horizon.
Okay, like what? Give me a sneak peek.
Well, one of the big trends is using virtual reality in video conferencing.
Wait, VR meetings? That sounds crazy.
I know, right?
I'm picturing everyone with those headsets on feeling like they're in the same room, even if they're miles apart.
Exactly. That's the idea, creating a more immersive and engaging experience.
But is that even realistic?
It's still early days, but the articles say VR is a key focus for the future of video conferencing, especially as the tech gets better and cheaper.
So VR for a more realistic and engaging meeting experience.
Yeah.
Are there any other big trends coming up?
Security is another huge one.
Oh, right. Makes sense.
As we share more and more sensitive information through video calls, keeping it safe becomes super important.
So what are we talking about? Like digital bodyguards for our video call?
Not quite, but we're talking about things like end-to-end encryption.
Okay.
So only the people who are supposed to be in the meeting can see and hear what's going on.
Gotcha.
And then there's biometric authentication.
What's that?
Things like facial recognition or fingerprint scanning to make sure everyone is who they say they are.
Oh, wow.
It's all about adding that extra layer of protection to keep confidential conversations truly confidential.
Makes sense.
We're also seeing the rise of AI-driven threat detection.
Oh, wow.
It can analyze the meeting data in real time and spot anything suspicious.
Like a virtual security guard for our meetings.
Exactly.
This all sounds incredibly complex,
Is.
but also super important as we rely more and more on video calls.
Absolutely. And then there's one more trend that I think you'll find really interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is it?
AI-powered meeting tools.
Okay.
Imagine AI as your personal assistant, taking care of all those annoying little tasks that eat up our time.
All right, sell me on this. What kind of magic can AI work in the meeting world?
Well, for starters, it can handle scheduling across different time zones.
Oh, that's nice.
So no more back and forth emails trying to find a time that works for everyone.
That alone is a lifesaver.
Right. And AI-powered transcription is also getting really good.
Ooh, tell me more about that.
It can generate meeting minutes automatically, so you can actually focus on what's being said instead of trying to write down every single word.
That would be a dream come true. I can never keep up with the note-taking.
Right. And there's even AI-powered language translation in the works.
Whoa, now we're talking.
Imagine real-time subtitles during the meeting.
Why?
Or even spoken language translation so everyone can understand each other no matter what language they speak.
This is seriously futuristic.
I know, right?
It sounds like AI could revolutionize how we hold meetings.
It really could. We're just at the beginning, but the possibilities are incredible.
Okay, so we've talked about the current state of video conferencing in serviced offices, the benefits, the crazy future trends.
That's a lot.
It is. But let's get practical for a second. If you're listening to this, you're probably wondering how to actually choose the right serviced office for your needs.
Right. There are a lot of options in Singapore.
So where do we even begin?
Good question. There are a few key factors to keep in mind.
Okay, like what? So spill the beans. What are the key things to look for?
Well, the articles all seem to agree on three main areas to focus on: tech stuff, location, and those extra amenities.
Makes sense. Let's start with the tech stuff then.
Okay, so it's easy to think any serviced office will have decent video conferencing, but it's not that simple.
Right.
You really have to look into the details. First off, think about what you actually need.
Okay.
Like, do you do a lot of presentations? You might need those high-def cameras.
Right.
Do you have big meetings? You'll probably want specialized microphones so everyone can be heard.
Makes sense.
Is there specific software you need to use that works with your current systems?
It's more than just having a screen and a webcam. You need to consider all these things.
Exactly. You got to think about quality, compatibility, all of it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're meeting with important clients or doing high-stakes presentations, you need the tech to be flawless.
Makes sense. One article even mentioned specialized setups for video calls. What do they mean by that?
Oh yeah, some serviced offices are going all out. They're setting up dedicated rooms for video conferencing.
Fancy.
Yeah, they've got professional lighting, special acoustic treatment to reduce echo, and the best equipment.
Wow.
It's all about creating the perfect environment for video calls.
So if you're serious about video conferencing, you might want to look for a serviced office that does this.
Definitely.
Okay, what about location and accessibility? Why does that matter for video calls?
Well, even though video calls reduce travel, location is still important. Think about convenience for you, your team, and any clients you might be meeting with in person.
So being close to public transport and main roads is a plus.
For sure.
Yeah.
You don't want to waste time stuck in traffic or looking for parking.
Right.
Having a central location with good transport links just makes everything smoother.
What about the area around the office? Does that matter?
It can, especially if it's really busy and noisy. It can be hard to find a quiet spot for a call.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
Think about the overall vibe of the area, too. Being near cafes, restaurants, or parks can be nice for breaks or casual meetings.
So it's about finding a balance between being easy to get to and having a good work environment.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about those additional amenities you mentioned. What kinds of things are we talking about?
This is where you can really make the space fit your company culture.
Okay.
Some serviced offices have meeting rooms, which are great when you need a private space for a call. Others might have kitchens, chill-out areas, or even gyms.
I can see how all those perks would make working there more enjoyable.
Totally. It's about finding a space that reflects your company's values and has the right mix of practicality and a positive atmosphere.
Before we move on, I want to circle back to those companies we talked about earlier, those success stories.
Oh, yeah. The ones who are really using video conferencing to grow and do cool things.
Exactly. It's amazing how they're using it to not just stay connected, but to actually innovate.
It's impressive. You've got that tech startup with the global team, Man Hummel using it for international workshops, Mary Kay doing their regional meetings.
It really highlights how powerful this tech can be.
Yeah, it's like they've found a way to ignore the physical distance and tap into a global talent pool, collaborating in ways we couldn't have imagined before.
Makes you wonder what's next. We talked about VR and AI changing video conferencing, but what does that mean for the future of work itself? Are we heading towards a world without offices?
That's the big question. It's hard to know for sure, but looking at the trends, we can make some guesses. Serviced offices seem to be leading the way because they're all about flexibility and the latest technology. They're not just a place to work anymore, they're becoming centers for innovation and collaboration.
I like that hubs for innovation and collaboration, that goes beyond just providing a desk and Wi-Fi.
Right, they're creating environments where businesses can meet, share ideas, and maybe even team up. It's like a built-in network of people and companies with similar goals, all powered by video conferencing and connectivity.
It's almost like a new kind of business community is forming within these serviced offices.
Exactly. And it seems perfect for startups and small businesses because it gives them access to resources and connections they might not have otherwise. They can compete globally from the start.
That's a good argument for why serviced offices are becoming so popular. They're not just keeping up with the times, they're shaping the future. But let's be realistic. Are there any downsides to this? It does sound almost too good to be true. There have to be some downsides, right?
Well, yeah, no system is perfect. One concern that came up in the articles is the reliability of the tech.
Oh, right.
If you're doing important client meetings or relying on video conferencing to collaborate, any tech problems are going to be a major pain.
So choosing a serviced office with a really good tech setup and reliable support is crucial.
Absolutely. Can you imagine you're in the middle of a big presentation and suddenly the connection drops?
Oh, the horror.
Or the audio cuts out? It could be a disaster, make you look really unprofessional.
Yeah, that would be a deal breaker for sure. What other potential problems should companies watch out for?
Another thing to think about is distractions in a shared workspace.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you have private meeting rooms, there's always the chance of background noise or interruptions.
That's true.
It can really disrupt a video call. So finding a serviced office that has a good balance, spaces for people to work together, but also quiet zones for focus is important.
Right. So you can have that collaborative environment, but also have somewhere to go when you need to concentrate.
Exactly. The space needs to be flexible, whether you're brainstorming with your team or having a confidential call with a client.
It sounds like there's a lot to consider when making this decision.
There is, but that's part of what makes it so interesting. This whole way we work is changing so fast.
It is.
And it's fascinating to see how businesses are adapting and finding creative solutions to the challenges.
Something that stood out to me as we've been talking is how important the human element still is.
Oh, definitely.
We've talked a lot about tech, AI, virtual reality, but it seems like that sense of community and connection is still really important.
You're absolutely right. Tech is a tool, a powerful one. But it's the human interactions, the relationships we build, the feeling of belonging that really makes a difference.
It's like that saying, it's not the tools, it's the craftsman.
Yeah.
Or in this case, it's not just the video conferencing, it's the people using it to connect in meaningful ways.
Exactly. And I think that's a big part of what makes serviced offices special.
Right.
They're not just providing the space and the gadgets, they're creating an environment where people feel connected and supported, even if they're not physically together all the time.
It's like they've found the secret to making hybrid work actually work.
Uh-huh. Yeah. You get the flexibility and freedom of remote work, but you also have the energy and connection of a real community.
And it seems to be working for everyone, from small businesses to huge companies.
It does. It really makes you wonder what's going to happen to the traditional office.
Yeah.
Is it going to disappear completely or change into something new?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
It's hard to predict the future, but it's clear that the office as we know it is changing rapidly.
Big time.
It's not just about showing up and sitting at your desk anymore. It's about finding a space that inspires you, where you can connect with others, and where you can do your best work wherever you are.
Exactly. And that's what I find so exciting about all this. We're not just talking about offices and video calls. We're talking about a whole new way of thinking about work, collaboration, and the future of business.
It has been a fascinating deep dive with you. I feel like we've learned a lot about how serviced offices are evolving and how powerful video conferencing can be.
Me too. I hope our listener feels like they're ready to navigate this new world of work,
Yeah,
armed with the knowledge to make smart decisions about their workspace and how they collaborate.
absolutely. And on that note, this wraps up our deep dive into serviced offices in Singapore and their amazing video conferencing capabilities. It's been an incredible journey, and we encourage you to keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep exploring what's possible in this ever-changing world of work.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Stay curious, everyone.